I've always been kind of a saver by nature, but at some points in life, I also feel like I can't just move stuff around all the time, and I need to get rid of stuff. So even before I moved here to St. John's, I made a concerted effort to just go through all the boxes of things I've been carting around for years that, of course, I never opened, and see what I can give away, toss, whatever. And so it's kind of like this purge, before I moved here. One thing that I've kept, though, all these different moves and years, are two paper boxes full of baseball cards. Thousands of them. Of course, some of them 40 years old or older. I don't know how that happened. But one of them might be worth something someday, which is why you kind of hold on to these things. Actually, this is kind of a nerdy thing. When I was a kid collecting baseball cards, I would sometimes go to the card store, the old Monarch Cards and Comics there on Airport, and I would get baseball cards as an investment. I know. I wonder how much that $8 Kirby Puckett card is worth now. Probably $2. But that's part of it, right? Things are only worth what someone's willing to pay for it. And perhaps you have or had something at your house that you thought was just so worth a lot of money, and it really isn't if no one wants to buy it. So even today, there's still a big market for collectibles. That's part of how I got out of collecting baseball cards. One, I just got older. And two, they weren't 50 cents anymore. When they became collectible, they had the collector's pack, with the silver wrapper, and those were $3, and I was out at that point. But today there's games that people play with cards that they can trade, Pokemon, for example, a Magic the Gathering. And there's rare cards that people are willing to pay a lot of money for. Post Malone once bought a Pokemon card for $800,000. And another one went for $16.5 million. I know. I need to get to know that guy. But makes you wonder what makes something valuable? What makes something valuable? Is it how much we could sort of get for it? I guess certainly that. But we know too there's things that maybe wouldn't cost a lot of money or no one would want to buy, but they're meaningful for us. Well, heirlooms or mementos that you may have that are important to you. Today in our gospel, Jesus has these more parables about the kingdom. These, of course, are about the fact that the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure or a fine pearl, that kind of one thing that we're willing to really give everything else for, and to be first and foremost, to be primary for us in our lives. We heard in our second reading, St. Paul was talking about how God made us for a purpose. And this purpose was to be conformed to the image of his Son, to really live life in Christ. That is a great treasure that we have. Being called by God, being made by God, being loved by God, being claimed by God, being saved by God, into this relationship that each and every one of us was made for. Of course, we have all sorts of other good things in our life, which are great. But what is first for us? What is first for us in our lives? I think that call, that challenge today is to recognize the kingdom of heaven, as it says, but really just God himself as the greatest treasure, as the pearl of great price. This past week, I was once again at Damascus summer camp. It's been my favorite week of the year for a lot of reasons. In part, it helps me tap into the treasure. Now, sometimes when I tell people I'm going to spend a week with 150 middle school students, I don't know why the reaction's not jealousy, because I think it's great. We took 16 awesome kids from the parish. It's beautiful. Part of what I like about that week, it gives me a chance to worship that I don't get other times, because when we worship, we have that proper orientation towards the Lord of all. I also appreciate how this whole camp is run by a bunch of 20-somethings, but they're on fire with God's love. And their love for Jesus and their devotion, like, it actually kind of puts mine to shame and challenges me to, like, up my game. It's just a beautiful witness. And of course, we have the young people who go to this camp, and at the end, there's an opportunity for them to give witness. It's kind of one after the other, and the general theme is something like, yeah, okay, maybe I went to Mass on Sunday, but I just didn't quite get it, or I was just kind of on and off in my relationship with God. But with their encounters at this camp, they come to really know God, like personally, that they see him, that they hear his voice, that they come to recognize his true presence in the Eucharist, and what a great treasure that is. And for the first time in their lives, they really can feel the great abundant love that God has for them as his beloved children. So much so that some of them are just overwhelmed by the whole thing. It's just so beautiful to witness. It's that treasure. It's that pearl of great price. A relationship with God. In the 2,000-year history of the church, arguably the greatest teacher was St. Thomas Aquinas. He's still much used today, like 800 years later. He's like one of the smartest guys that ever lived. At the end of his life, Thomas was praying in the chapel, and the Lord said to him, "You've written well of me, Thomas. What will be your reward?" And Thomas said, "Only you, Lord."